What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece treasure cruise video. So as the treasure map began, we had a data mine come in from our little data miner here, Brandon, giving us information about the upcoming Kizuna banner that we have for us here today. And it's a pretty crazy looking set of characters we're getting here. So not only are we getting a brand new Kizuna banner with a new Legend Boa Hancock, but we're also getting Shakky, as I think it's her first unit in the game, but we're also getting the information for 6+ V3 Rayleigh. And V3 Rayleigh needed a 6+ for sure, and what they've given him, he might be a really solid super evolution. We'll have to wait and test to see how he actually works in game and see how we feel about him. But on paper, seems like a very, very good upgrade. So without further ado, we're going to start off with Rayleigh. So first of all, let's have a look at that artwork with the Giga Chad Rayleigh. And the whole theming of this Kizuna batch is when, you know, Blackbeard invaded Amazon Lily. We have Rayleigh obviously ready to, you know, give Blackbeard the smoke, and the new Boa Hancock is obviously from that little clash, and then obviously Shakky was arriving towards the end there. But let's go through Rayleigh's buffs. Now, remember beforehand, Rayleigh, he was focused on fighter and cerebral classes. With the 6+, he actually becomes a slasher character, so he takes fighter off of him to become slasher. So I don't know how good that's actually going to be overall, but we have a look at his buffs. So remember that with a character receiving a super evolution, they get buffs via their level limit break as well. So if you just have the base form of Rayleigh, he still gives buffs to slasher characters and fighter characters now, so that's a new change where he was only fighter and cerebral before. Now he buffs slashers. 4.5 times attack, 15% damage reduction, boost chances of matching slots, Psi and Tandem are matching for the crew, which is also a new mechanic. And then this is a really cool thing as well, reduces attack down by 5 turns as a captain is an incredibly valuable component to his effect. And then you get the 5.25 times attack anytime his special is launched for that turn. So captain ability wise, I think that they've done a fantastic job at upgrading, but if you get him to level limit break 3, things just go crazy as you get the 5 times flat boost instead of 4.5. That's a pretty big buff. 20% damage reduction instead of 15. More matching slots, side tandem matching of course, and then the attack down removal in his captain ability goes from 5 to 10 turns. That's a massive jump and actually means a lot. When you tap on him with a Psi or a Tandem slot, it applies a 10% resistance down to all enemies for 1 turn, another great addition, and then a 5.75 times attack during turns his special is launched. So with level limit break 3, which is 4 duplicate investments, he becomes infinitely better. And I think this is the thing I'm most impressed about. Usually characters with their captains don't get much of a buff. Usually it's the special that receives the most change, and they've kind of done the opposite here in my opinion. Like, this captain ability is insanely good. Of course, the issue is it doesn't have cooldown reduction in the captain. I think that would have been really cool. Remember though that Rayleigh with his potential abilities does give himself cooldown reduction. So yeah, he himself won't have a cooldown problem, but if you use him as a captain, the rest of your crewmates still need to charge their specials, which is still a little bit of an issue, I guess. So let's have a look at this special ability, because the special is pretty solid too. So it does 250 times his attack in non-type damage to a single target, ignoring all defensive effects, so just lots of damage to a single target. He removes paralysis by 6. This is a new mechanic that has been added for this guy, so I like that they're adding some utility here, because with Rayleigh, he has a pretty big restriction where, like, you can only basically use Rayleigh's special the turn that you launched it, so they need to give him a lot in his special to make it worthwhile, and this is a really good change. He gives a full board of matching slots that goes through block, changes his own slot into tandem, and then boosts cerebral, slasher, and fighter attack and orbs by 2.5 for 1 turn. But this is where things get a little bit weird, because he only allows cerebral and fighter characters' normal attacks to go through defensive effects for 1 turn. Now this is unchanged from his generic form, but the thing is that he has now added Slasher to his captain ability, and he now boosts Slasher characters with his attack and orb boost. But for some reason, they didn't allow Slasher characters' normal attacks to bypass defensive effects with normal taps. So that is a bit of an odd one. I think most people agree with me on that one, that Slashers should have been added to this component of his special. There's a bit of a weird one there. Moving on though. The special now also gives a 20% boost to the final tap character who is a slasher unit. I don't know why, but that's what he does. And then it does mention here as the condition, if other specials have been launched, this special cannot be launched. Or if you use this special, you can't use any other specials during the same turn. So this is the big drawback, is that Rayleigh's special is actually incredibly strong, but restricting it so that it is the only special that can be used during the turn, it really hampers down how you know, unusable he is in a lot of content. However, things change quite a lot when you get him to level limit break 5. This special becomes a lot better. So you get more damage, you get 1 additional turn of paralysis removal, which is really valuable. You still get the matching slots and a tandem slot on himself. Cerebral Slasher and Fighters get 2.75 to the orbs, or to attack and slot effects. Or no, you get 2.75 attack, 2.5 to orbs. Don't know why they buffed one and not the other. A little bit of a strange one, but just more damage across the board. Again, only Cerebral and Fighter characters go through normal defensive effects with normal taps. So again, Slashers should have been added to this. You get a 30% boost to the next final tap done by a Slasher, so just more damage. But then they state here that if 2 other specials have been launched, you cannot launch this special. And then it says, likewise, if you launch Rayleigh's special, you're allowed to launch 1 additional special. And even just that minor change of allowing you to get 1 additional special alongside Rayleigh changes the whole way that you actually view this character, right? Because you got to think, the fact that Rayleigh is built this way means that you don't need to worry about bringing like Rainbow Shield removers, Threshold removers, Barrier removal, Nullification remover. You just ignore it with your normal taps with Cerebral and Fighters, so you don't have to worry about that. He gives you matching slots, he gives you attack and orb boost, he removes paralysis. Rayleigh does so much by himself that I would think with 1 additional special, that should probably get around most other gimmicks. Now look, you may have to deal with special bind, special reverse, bind, you know, like there's going to be a bunch of other gimmicks you may need to get around. But at a bare minimum, you can think of it as in like, you can use this special on like a mini boss stage, and this special by itself clears stuff. So I like what they've done here. I think Rayleigh with this 6+ is a phenomenal upgrade to the character. Now, furthermore, we can have a look at some other stuff here. His first crewmate ability reduces special bind on himself by 10 and makes tandem slots matching. And his secondary one resists his own special reverse and also makes int slots matching. His rumble stuff did get a bit of a buff, but it's not a major increase. You can see that when you get him at max capacity, you do get 2k fixed damage to a single target. 3 high defense enemies get defense down level 6, and then 1 teammate with high attack gets an attack increase. The special is not that great. Rumble resistance, he does evade special bind, which is kind of cool, I guess. He does give buffs to Fighter Slasher Cerebral, 6 attack, 5 HP, 5 defense. Like, that's a really good Rumble passive, but the Rumble special is just not good enough to warrant this guy really seeing play. 26 CT is respectable, he just doesn't do enough though with his special. So in terms of Rumble stuff, I don't expect him to see play, but I'm a big fan of his normal content related stuff. His captain and special are great. A little bit of a missed opportunity that they didn't give him super typing. Would have loved if he had super typing or super class, but that's neither here nor there. I'm a big fan of what they've done with this guy. Now, as we said at the start of the video, there's going to be a brand new Kizuna Clash Legend Boa Hancock, and I gotta say, I'm a massive fan of this artwork. It looks amazing. If you guys haven't seen the unevolved artwork, it's of when Blackbeard actually came up to Boa Hancock and was trying to choke her out, get her devil fruit, of course. This was a crazy scene, and the fact that they opted to actually put this artwork in the game is wild, so that's crazy as the unevolved artwork, but I do really like the evolved artwork for this Boa Hancock, and this unit's actually really interesting. So let's get into breaking down what she does. So this unit is Cerebral Free Spirit, so that's a very good class combination, and she's also a Psi unit. So Psi, Cerebral Free Spirit, very good class and type combinations. The captain ability, you do get -1 cooldown, Cerebral Free Spirit with a 5 times boost, 1.3 health HP, also boosting their attack up to approximately 5.5 per perfect strike in a row, so just pretty solid multipliers across the board. It also adds 0.2 to your minimum chain multiplier value, so this, you just get more damage, you just reach higher chain capacities when you use her as a captain. She does make Psi int matching, and also heals 4000 HP at the end of the turn. It's nothing game breaking, it's not breaking any ground, it's very basic captain ability, but it's solid. You got cooldown, good multipliers to 2 very good classes. You also have the chain buff as well to make her stronger in that regard, matching slots and healing. Like, it's nothing crazy, nothing that wild. When we move on to the special though, the special actually does a lot of different things. You've got first of all, a 20k heal is nothing to scoff at. It also reduces the pain debuff by 5 turns. So this is the first character in the game, I think, aside from Shirahoshi Mancherry, who also does it, to remove pain debuff. So that's cool. It is only by 5 turns. I would have loved if it was just a complete removal, because it's just, sometimes you will get 5 turns or less of it. Sometimes you get 10 turns of it, and it just doesn't matter. But I think that this is a really, really cool effect. It then also delays all enemies by 1 turn that ignores immunity to delay in all status effects, which is obviously very, very good. And it also mentions this love stuff to love status enemies when the special is launched for 2 turns. So the thing is that it says that it also applies a petrify status to love enemies. So it's very confusing because there's like this petrify, love, delay, all of these things going on, right? But either way, you getting a delay through immunity to status effects is incredibly strong, and then applying the petrify status to characters that have love status for 2 turns. Petrify obviously is a very, very good mechanic that you can stack with love, and then it also says it inflicts love status, binds regular attacks until they're hit up to 8 times. So you're able to get the love status and a guaranteed delay, which is pretty wild. And then furthermore, after all the delay in love shenanigans, in terms of what she actually does, she changes her own slot into tandem. She has super tandem as well, and then boosts cerebral free spirit characters chain multiplier tap timing by up to 0.7. So every time you hit a perfect, you get a 0.7 increase, and that's for 2 turns. And then it says that if you have a chain lock when you launch her special, it boosts Sai cerebral free spirit attack by 2.75 for 2 turns. If you don't have a chain lock, it sets your chain boundary to 2.75 to 30 for 2 turns. So the fact that this character by herself can get tap timing chain and chain boundary simultaneously is very good. And even if you have a chain boundary otherwise, you can get an attack boost. So just reducing that redundancy is always good. A 0.7 tap timing chain increase is, I think, equal highest or up there with some of the highest tap timing chain buffs that we have in the game. And the fact that she guarantees herself, well, she doesn't guarantee herself a tandem slot because it doesn't go through block slots, but still getting a tandem slot for her super tandem does make sense. And as for her superclass itself, the effect removing 6 turns of despair makes it easier to hit perfects for 1 turn, which I think is a bit of a weird one. Like, I don't know why they opted to give that as one of her buffs from her superclasses, but sure. But I like the fact that it allows you to overheal also for 3 turns, so you can stack that for multiple turns. And then it furthermore says that it inflicts love status on each enemy until they hit 10 times. And this adds 10 hits to the status threshold if they're already inflicted with it. So if you can use like double super classes to get a bunch of love status on the enemy, and then cerebral characters becoming super cerebral. So ideally the situation is you would use her super class first to inflict love, then use her special, guaranteed delay, inflict petrify, and then you get all of her other benefits that way. But it is unfortunate that her kit does not allow you to remove block slots. Like, it should have guaranteed the tandem slot on herself, considering it is only for herself. So I think that should have gone through block slots, but I think it's an interesting character overall. It doesn't do a whole lot, but the guaranteed delay through immunity is pretty big. That's a big thing there, because not too many characters are able to do that. And then as for the superclass condition, it does say that you need one of the following characters, which it's being Luffy, Shakky, Sandersonia Marigold, or Rayleigh, or when you have 6 cerebral characters on the crew. So I like that there is that, way that you could do it. You can either have just the character on the crew, or you can just have the 6 cerebrals. And obviously the fact that the Boa Hancock boosts free spirit characters means running a Luffy alongside Boa is very easy to do. So that's not really a big issue at all. Her crewmate abilities does boost cerebral and free spirit characters base attack, and then also tapping on her with a Sire or tandem slot further boosts the effect of your crew's chain multiplier effects by 0.1, and then the other one says tapping on her with Sire tandem will further boost the effect of crew's chain additions by 0.1. So that's really interesting that she has like chain buffing sailor effects that already work really well with her chain buffing special ability. So this character is very focused around the chain multiplier, and of course if you use her as a captain, your chain multiplier can stack even higher as well. So I get what they're trying to do here. This is very, very interesting stuff. The first potential ability does, it's like the same HP recoverable amount down debuff removal, which is I think what V1 Bonnie kind of does. Her second one reduces fear resistance, which fear resistance is fine, but for what her crewmate abilities do, I feel like this is kind of a redundant potential ability in my opinion. Super Tandem is her third one. Now, the Super Tandem is kind of cool, but the big thing I want to draw your attention to is that the Super Tandem only requires one character when it's completely maxed out. So that is really big. The fact that you can have like a Luffy on the crew, you get a Super Tandem with just like tapping on one character and Boa to trigger it is very strong. But the effect itself is kind of okay, it's fine. You get a 1.75 tandem attack boost for Cerebral and Free Spirit, but then you also get 2.25 times conditional boost against delayed enemies for 1 turn. And, you know, conditional boosts in Super Tandem are kind of weird because typically you want the conditional boosts before you start tapping, but considering this character only requires one other character to get her Super Tandem, I think that kind of makes sense. You can still stack a character like, you know, Super Sugo, Nico, Robin with this unit, and, you know, you get Robin's conditional boost, and then when you activate the Super Tandem, you'll still get a double stacking conditional boost. It's just you get the conditional boost in the middle of your tap timing. So there's going to be cool ways you can abuse this character for sure, but the Super Tandem only requiring one character at max is the big thing. Of course, when you have it at level 1, it's going to be much worse, but we'll have to wait and see once the character is officially data downloaded. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a good support, but I will say her Rumble stuff looks kind of interesting. So she's focused on buffing Cerebral, giving 5 HP and 5 defense, so very good defensively focused unit. But then also this really neat effect in her Rumble ability. Free Spirit enemies get level 6 attack down and level 3 special CT speed down. That's an absurd Rumble ability, just heavy debuffs on Free Spirit. Just got to be very careful when you're going up against this guy, when you're using a Free Spirit squad, of course. Now, having a look at the Rumble special, 27 CT is relatively respectable. And then it does a small range 100% chance of action bind for 20 seconds. That's incredibly strong, very, very good. I know that Legend Hina that came out for Treasure Map, she also is a Cerebral unit that does action bind mechanics, and she's very frustrating to go against, and this is just another one of these units that can do that. And then she does a medium range, 75% chance of confusion for 15 seconds. That, I think, is the biggest thing here. Not only medium range is pretty solid, but a 75% chance is incredibly high. You know, we had the waifu characters come out previously. I think they might have been an 80% chance, but they were only in like a horizontal range or something. I can't remember exactly how they worked. But then there was the Kizuna Boa that came out like late in 2021, I think it was. And her special did also apply confusion, but it was like a really low chance. It was like a 30% chance. And it doesn't happen that often. But a 75% chance, medium range, 15 seconds. This is one of the most frustrating things to go against, because if you guys don't know, when a character is inflicted with confusion and they go to perform an attack, if their special is maxed and ready to go, confusion resets their special. So this is like on the levels of like Nami Karina levels, like kind of annoying to go against. And the thing is, Nami Karina and this new Boa, they're both Cerebral. You can run them alongside each other, which is going to be the scariest thing. Like this and Nami Karina together are going to be really nasty. So you got to be careful about that. Her final effect does do a large range, 50% chance of special bind. So yeah, I actually kind of like the way that she's built. A very frustrating character to go against for sure. So Boa Hancock, definitely be very careful. This is a scary, scary unit in Rumble. And her normal kit seems just okay. It's fine, you know? I don't think you really need to go crazy for a unit such as this. And finally, to wrap up the video, we're going to briefly go over the Shakky character, which I believe, as I said, is the first Shakky character in the game. Her captain effect doesn't matter. You're not really using her for her captain ability, but her special does special bind removal by 6, which is very good. Defense up by 6. Changes middle row and bottom row slots into tandem, which also does not go through block slots. And boosts color affinity for int and psi by 2.25 for 3 turns. If the crew has a chain lock when you launch the special, it extends the duration of it by 1 turn, and further boosts the effect by 0.3. That is very strong. So this can make Boa Hancock's chain boundary not only last for 3 turns, but make it like a 3.05 chain boundary. That's very good. And if the crew has a chain multiplier growth rate altering effect, extends the duration of that by 1 turn. So yeah, it buffs Boa's chain buff. So you use one on stage 2, use her special, extend it, you're all good to go. Removing 6 turns of special bind as a crewmate, additional healing as a crewmate as well, recovery bind resistance, and it looks like it's hunger as well. No notable support there. But that's the brand new batch here of Rayleigh, Shakky, and the brand new Boa Hancock. So that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about this brand new badge down below in the comment section. But honestly, everything that we've seen is kind of setting things up for the global anniversary to potentially be Blackbeard and Lore. I feel that makes sense. You know, have a Blackbeard coming up with Boa Hancock. We had the recent anime episode with Lore and Blackbeard. I feel like it's setting us up for a new Blackbeard character for global anniversary. We'll have to wait and see. But as I said, let me know your thoughts and opinions about this one down below in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.